he kind of almost was in a very, very sad mood, and he said, you know, Jerry, this year there are going to be more PhDs in Sanskrit in the US than in India. It's not just in chemical engineering where our PhDs have fallen dramatically and we are way behind Korea and China and the US, but our even in our areas of strength, and I know, how can Indian civilization survive? How can we be creative if we're going to neglect Sanskrit? So this is a problem in our educational system, and it's ironical that the government of India is willing to fund several $1 million for a chair in a university in Britain, but insists that UGC scales apply to professors and to PhD students in India, which is a pathetic fraction of what we pay to an entry-level Java programmer. So we've created a wage rate imbalance here, which, and everybody, you know, I understand academics work less, they work 9 months a year, they have holidays and so on, but still, if you have distortions of wage rates which are 10x and 12x, you know, 20%, 30% lower, I can understand. But we've created a situation where the academic community, I'm surprised there are any professors left in IIT. They can make so much more money being project managers. And you know, over time, this steps. In the short run, these things don't matter, but over time, these things do matter. You know, I keep talking a lot to the people in IIM Ahmedabad. Yeah, 1 or 2 people will come back after getting their PhDs in the US to teach because, you know, their aged mother is not well or something like that. That's 1 or 2 people. If you want to hire 100 people, you need to have a wage rate and a signal that makes sense. And the barriers to the entry of private and foreign universities into India, which have again been created. There's a beautiful statement made by Nandan, I think, when he said that, look, just like you had liberalization for industry and you allowed us to invest wherever we wanted, can we not have liberalization in the educational sector? That's the only way we are going to crack this problem of retaining talent. The Jack Welch Center in Bangalore is able to attract world-class PhDs, Indian and non-Indian, to do world-class research. But the University of Bombay, which was a premier university, or Allahabad University, which was a premier university not that long ago, is today not in a position to do that. And we need to open this up. And this is something where, frankly, we have to engage very, very strongly with our government, because if this doesn't happen, we can have some serious repercussions 10 years down the road. Most foreigners think that we are very good at maths. Just try and check out maths BSc graduates and MSc graduates coming out today. Let me tell you, I mean, let the foreigners keep believing that which is not true, because we really have a problem in maths talent coming out of our universities. Forget about doing PhD in original research. And this again, today, tomorrow, we're going to manage. We're going to still have 20% PAT or whatever. But in 5-10 years' time, this is going to come back and bite us. And this is a very, very good question. Whoever posed this question, and I think if we as a community are not willing to tithe a little bit of our money, a little bit of our time to help make this transformation in higher education, our children will be the losers, our industry will be the loser. So this is a worthwhile initiative, so for NASSCOM itself to pursue, for all of us to engage very strongly with our government to make sure that it happens.
Thanks, Jerry. Let's shift gears to the global context. As all of us know, we are much better at managing the global context than domestic contradictions. So there's one interesting question about, you know, every company is looking at M&A. I mean, yesterday, Minister Praful Patel talked about the $10 billion M&A that one of our other companies has done. And the question here is that, look, in all the acquisitions that is happening in the industry today, how much attention are we paying and how much should we indeed pay as we move towards the next level in managing the cultural integration that is such an integral part of M&A? Leo, would you like to comment on that?
Actually, over the last few years, the good news is that Indian companies are in fact acquiring a reputation as fairly disciplined acquirers around the world. So they have been viewed as, whether it's the auto sector, the pharma sector, heavy engineering, resource-based industries, and for that matter, IT and BPO as well, as extremely disciplined in a financial sense. Increasingly work, I would say, with Asians as we actually enter Chinese markets through joint venture partnerships, So this historical fear, I think, should really be put behind us and not be a reason to step back. It's probably something, in my view, that was overplayed in the past, and we should not make too much of this as a barrier to growth.
Sure. Jerry, any comments? You've been on all sides of M&A, so.
First of all, I think I do want to kind of add to what Leo said. I think Indian companies acquiring overseas companies, by and large today we have a reputation of not being predatory, of not creating angst, anxiety in the acquired entity, and this is something that we should continue with. I think this is very important. We do not want a situation where US Congress said no to Dubai Port Trust or to some Chinese companies. We want Indian companies to be seen as relatively benign and positive, constructive, and I do hope that all of us will keep to that track record. As far as cultural issues, you're right, I've seen it several different ways. And now, I've now come to the same conclusion that culture has very little to do in an organizational work area with national origin or race or religion or whatever. There are salespeople in EDS who love small projects with high margins, and there are salespeople in Emphasis who love small projects with high margins. That is one culture. In both companies, there are salespeople who only like large deals at thin margins. So you really have to deal with individuals. It has nothing to do. In every company you find that there are groups of people who, you know, in every situation who have cultural traits which are common, which have nothing to do with where they come from, but how they have grown in their work and what their experiences are and what their positions are. There are operating people who are, you know, fairly risk-taking, who are willing to make aggressive assumptions on project estimates. And there are others who are conservative, and they exist in both companies, the acquiring company as well as the acquired company. And we need to figure out how to get these people aligned so that you get the right people on both sides aligned who think alike. And it's amazing how alike people think across the world, across time zones, but we have to find the right groups. That, to my mind, is the biggest cultural challenge in integrating people-oriented technology service companies.
A related question, Jerry, is, I mean, somebody says that what do you expect will be the role of the Indian diaspora as we move on to the next level of growth and leadership? Any comments on that?
Yeah, actually, I already said something earlier, which is that we give a lot of credit to the diaspora, and I'm not taking it away. I think I myself came back. I'm kind of very grateful to members of the diaspora who've invested, who've come back, who've worked on this. But we should also give equal credit to many non-Indian nationals who, early in the game, supported India, who believed in the story. Texas Instruments was opened in Bangalore, not by an Indian. The person who actually taught the customs agents as to how software can be exported without being a physical product was an American. Jack Welch, who took the bet on Gurgaon and the Indian BPO industry, was an American. So frankly, our success has been many people contributing. The diaspora has been important and continues to be important, but I think we look, again, as I said, you don't look at them as people from one culture or the other, but are there aggressive investors or risk-averse investors? Just like I said, there are some kinds of salespeople and some other kinds of salespeople, and that needs to be our relationship with the diaspora. Some of them are very aggressive investors who are willing to take risks, back new companies, and some are not. And I think we need to deal with them that way, professionally, rather than only on the sentimental lines, as we tend to do sometimes.